Hey guys, it's Dan, your host here at Dan's Reviews, and this week we're going to be discussing Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 11, which is called The Codes. So, this week's episode of Fear, I'm sorry, but I love this episode. I really did. I think this episode was awesome. Now, I know a lot of people are not a fan of this half of Fear so far. We're almost halfway through the second half already. I think so far this second half, I think the mid-season premiere is probably the worst episode. Then I go to episode 10, and then this one. I think this one is probably slightly better than episode 10. This one does so much for Morgan's character, and it does so much for the story, and it really leads the story in a direction. It does. Even though I don't think this episode was absolutely perfect or anything, I did like it for what it was. I thought it was a good episode, and I'm going to place this as a really good episode. I think this episode probably deserves that, because I did enjoy seeing Morgan in this episode and just what happened. So, that's one thing for sure. Now, I want to kind of go over it and say, I think this episode struggles when it comes to our new three characters. Now, you got the one guy who makes beer or whatever. That guy's all right. But, I mean, the other two, the guy in the wheelchair and the other girl, oh my god, aren't they ever goofy? Like, they remind me of, like, I don't know, some kind of, like I don't know, goofy, like 80s, like, I don't know, they're just so interesting, those two. The guy in the wheelchair and the girl, and then you've got the guy who makes beer, of course, too, which was captured by those two originally, right? So, and then Morgan saves him. So, cool episode for sure. We start off, so spoiler warning again. So, we start off, we've got the storm. Morgan is, of course, going to take cover, and then he pretty much wakes up the next day, and he's in Mississippi. So, he's like, okay. So he's at this, truck stop or whatever, and there's, like, all this stuff, and he's pretty much talking to this person, and he's like, what is this place, And, he kind of explains where he's at, that type of deal. And then you've got Morgan, who's just kind of spending time there. He's, using the toilet or whatever, number 2, that type of deal. Very weird that they actually showed that. They showed Morgan and, him doing number 2. So that's okay. It's so funny. He's, like, reading a magazine and stuff. Oh, my God. Anyway, so that was kind of funny. And anyway, so then you got the guy with the shotgun. And I did like him quite a bit, actually, because then he kind of has a shotgun pointed at him. Can you lower that, please? Sure can. And he lowers it more, but just by a little bit, And anyway, really cool stuff for sure. So then, of course, the lady shows up, Sarah, and Morgan gets to know them or whatever. She gets him to put the gun down and stuff. And they give Morgan, they show, they got all these trucks and stuff. And Morgan's kind of asking them, what happened in Texas, and they tell him that there was a huge storm and it was pretty severe. So now he's kind of like, oh, I need to go back to the fear group, So that's what we get the idea of. And then, of course, he does leave. He leaves those two, and then he goes off on his own again, and he pretty much turns back around towards the Walking Dead group. So that was cool stuff right there. So then he runs into the guy that has, the bag over his head and all that kind of stuff. What's his name? Jim? Is that his name? Jimmy? Jim? I don't know. I don't know his name. I think that's his name, but I could be wrong. I'm still trying to learn these new characters' names. So he's pretty much, he's been captured by the two, Sarah and the guy with, in the wheelchair with the shotgun and stuff. And pretty much Morgan helps him out, and which was a really exciting scene when Morgan helps him out. And pretty much you get to see the two of them, and they're driving along and stuff, and you got a point to life, or you're just looking for one, and cool stuff right there. And then he talks about Alexandria too, and how they're doing the same type of thing, and he's like, but not making beer, but so that was cool stuff right there too. I did like kind of the dialogue between the two of them, and I kind of thought they had a decent storyline going there between this new character and Morgan or whatever, when they're driving in the car, that type of deal. So that was cool stuff right there. Now, then we get to see pretty much Morgan and, the other guy that he saved just previously that's, making beer, that type of deal, because I don't know his name, so I'm just going to go with that. They, of course, get captured by they get tied up and stuff by the guy in the wheelchair with the shotgun and Sarah. So they're captured. They're in the back of the vehicle and stuff. You got some quick dialogue scenes between the two, and then, of course, the one guy ends up actually getting untied and stuff, and Morgan is still tied up or whatever, and then, of course, then you get to the really major scene where Morgan Morgan, of course, goes down the hill, and then he's tied up, and he has to try to get up or whatever, and you got all these zombies around him, and then, of course, he's trying to, kind of go through, and then he gets on top of the vehicle or whatever, and he's, like, stuck on top, which is the part right here, where he's stuck on top. Now, this is probably the best part of the episode for me, where Morgan is stuck up there, and you've got the others who are just going to leave him. Now, she kind of, Sarah, she's just like, I'm not really good at this type of thing. The guy with the, in the wheelchair with the shotgun, he's just like, yeah, me neither. And then the other guy says, no, me neither. So, yeah, they're kind of just, they're not really they're not in the mood, but they're also not strong enough to help Morgan through all those zombies. So, pretty much Morgan's just like, hey, what are you doing, and they leave him behind. So, that was kind of crazy. I did not expect to see them leave him behind, but then I was like, man, are you kidding me? So, that was really, really terrible. I was not a fan of that at all. But again, these new people that they brought in for this episode, they're really not that strong. They're really not that strong at all. Like, honestly, they're not the strongest, trio, not at all. So, you can definitely, you can understand why they didn't. But man, come on. It's just, I don't know, that's kind of ridiculous. But anyway. So, yeah, they leave Morgan, and then pretty much Morgan is going to have to fight through himself. He kicks one, and he does manage to get away. He jumps over and stuff, and then he gets the sign and stuff, and he just starts killing them. So that was a really cool scene for sure. Probably my favorite scene of the episode. And then, of course, you've got Morgan, who meets up with the others at the bridge and stuff, and he says, we're gonna make a few stops, that type of deal, and they're gonna go get the fear group and stuff, and they're gonna all kind of go together, that type of deal. So that was that. So I really did enjoy that a lot. I thought that was really cool. So that was that. And then, of course, that is how the episode does finish and end. So I did like that quite a bit. I really thought that was, a nice touch. And then, of course, you got the ending with some weird lady. I don't know who the heck this is, but, some lady shows up at the, the convenience store or whatever that Morgan was at the beginning. And, she's like, we're going to go and stuff like that. And, we're going to leave, that type of deal. And she's real creepy. I don't know who she is. I'm really not sure at all. We see her in the promo. I don't know who she is, but we'll have to see in the next following week. She's really creepy, the girl at the end there. So I don't know, we'll have to see. And this episode was good. I'd say this is probably the best episode of this season. I like it how at the beginning he wants to go back to the Walking Dead group. He wants to go back with Rick and all that kind of stuff. And he wants to go back to Alexandria. Now, at the end of the episode, that's totally changed, and now he's going to go get the fear group because he heard about the storm and how bad it was, and, all that stuff. So that was pretty decent stuff for sure. I did like it, and, I thought this episode, it did pretty well. So, yeah, that is pretty much it for my review. I'm kind of trying to think if I left anything out, but I do believe that's it, and I think this episode, it definitely, I think the best part would probably be the Morgan scene right here. That was the best, when he has to kind of get himself out of that. That was a really exciting sequence for sure. Because, I wasn't sure what was going to happen there at all. So, yeah, this episode for me is going to be a very good episode. Rate this one, as a really good episode. Probably about a good 8 out of 10 or so. It's a really good episode. I think it's better than last week's just narrowly, though. I really did enjoy last week's episode a lot with Alicia and Charlie. That one, I'm sorry, but I loved that episode so much. With the storm and stuff, that one was awesome. But this episode was really, really good, and I think so far this half of Fear the Walking Dead has been okay. I don't think it's been amazing, but it's been pretty good. And I did like this episode. And the new trio group there that's come in. I find them to be a little goofy. I don't know about you guys, but they are a little bit of a goofy group. We'll have to see, just kind of what happens with them, and we'll have to see if they're going to join the regular group, just what happens with these new characters, because we do definitely need some new characters in the show, that is for sure. So if they want to bring them in and have some new characters in the show, that's fine. So yeah, if that's what they're going to do, then that's what they're going to do then, I guess. But really cool stuff for sure. I think this episode, definitely for a lot of people, if you're a fan of Morgan, you'll enjoy this one for sure. So yeah, definitely, just to get a few more gripes out of the way, too, before the review is done, I do want to say, yeah, the group is a little goofy. And I did kind of want to see more than just Morgan in this episode. I kind of hated the fact that it was another bottle episode. Next week's episode looks a lot better because we got Althea and Naomi, or June, and then we also got Morgan and his storyline with the new group that he's with. So they're kind of mixing it up, they're changing it up, and I'm liking it because I'm not a fan of these bottle episodes, even though I did like last week's episode, as you guys know. So anyway, guys, yeah, I think I'll call it here for my review. I think this one was pretty decent, and I think definitely I could definitely I would understand if you said this is the best episode of the second half of the season. I could definitely understand that because this episode was probably more, exciting and more stuff going on than the last two episodes, even though I think episode 10 was really good with the storm and stuff. So, really cool stuff. Really enjoyed this episode, and I think also another thing I want to mention was Morgan in this episode. I don't know, something was telling me he was gonna go crazy again. I don't know. By seeing the promo, we did not see that, so thank God, because I kind of like Morgan the way he is right now. So I'm happy that did not happen. I was like, oh, Morgan episode only. They're probably gonna do this thing where he goes crazy again. So happy to see that didn't happen either. So anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will catch you guys for my predictions really soon. Peace out.